So yesterday what I taught you was basically basics of WebDriver. Fine. I told you how to include the WebDriver jars in your project. Then in the end what we did was we also ended up making this class known as drivers underscore Selenium, and I talked about different kinds of drivers. I told you that there are three drivers: Firefox, Chrome, and what do you say, Internet Explorer. These are the three drivers: Firefox driver, Chrome driver, and Internet Explorer driver. And these three drivers, they work on different browsers, right? And for Firefox driver, it was a plain old code, that is, you simply create the object of Firefox driver. And for Chrome driver, you had to include the path of exe, like the path of exe, and then open the Chrome driver. For iDriver, you had to include the path of exe, and along with that, you had to turn off the protected mode in I and set the zoom level in I to 100%. Only that, only after these settings, Internet Explorer driver it starts working. Fine. Okay. Now the thing is, I will. Okay, can you please increase the file? Nishtha, double click on your WebEx session. It will be maximized to the. It will maximize to optimum size. Okay, right. Now today we will talk about how these drivers are related to each other. Right. For example, if you talk in very plain terms, right? Suppose if I am working with Chrome driver, okay, and I want to click on a link on Chrome driver, and using Firefox driver I want to click on the same link, and using iDriver as well I want to click on the same link. So basically the question arises, will the methods be same or it will be different? Okay, will the methods be same or the methods be different? Hope you got my point, right? iDriver and Chrome driver, they are separate classes. These classes have got different functions in them. Okay, so if you have to click on a link in Firefox driver, if you have to click on a link in Chrome driver, will the procedure be completely different? This is the question which comes into our mind. Well, the answer is no, that will not be the case. Okay, and the reason why I am telling you this is because of a concept known as interfaces in Java language. So in day 2 today we will be talking about interfaces, and we will be talking about how interfaces play a major role in Selenium. Fine. So let me talk about interfaces first. What an interface means. Okay. I am again repeating, I am just taking class for 1 hour today because there are two reasons. Firstly, I have to leave for some meeting, right? And secondly, some of the paid members have not joined. That's why they are not able to join because of the time limit restrictions, right? Amrit, is my voice clear now, or there is some background noise? Is it okay now?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. Please keep your microphones on mute. Please keep your microphones on mute. Fine. Yes, Venku, like for Jenkins, yes, I am preparing the videos in next 1 week. I will be releasing videos on Selenium integration with Jenkins. Okay. Right. So now over here, I'll talk about the concept of interface in Java language. What exactly is the interface? What exactly do you mean by an interface? Right. Well, interface is like a generic thing, right? An interface is abstract. Interface is something which outlines the behavior of a system. For example, if you buy a book, when you go to the shop and you buy a book, on the first page of the book you see what are the contents of the book. The first index page of the book will help you know what are the internal contents of the book, what a book is supposed to do. Or for example, you go to a restaurant to have food. Well, before having food, you check out the menu card, and on the menu card you check out that fine, these are the things available in the restaurant, and you come to know that fine, what you can order. So the menu card is just like an interface which tells you what the restaurant is offering you. Fine. So in Java also we have interfaces which tell you what the application is supposed to do. Just by looking at the interface, you will come to know that that what the application is doing. Right. So now I'll create an interface first. I'll go to new and I will say interface. Okay, and I will give the interface name. Just a minute. Yeah, hold on. Yeah, I'll give the interface name such as I will write over here. Say computer. Fine. So you have something generated like this, that public interface computer. Okay, and inside this computer interface you have got various functions like public void start. So this is the start function. Right. Now in interface you don't have the function bodies, you just declare the methods. Right, in interface you just have the function declarations, you don't have the function bodies present inside the interface. Okay, for example, I can have another function known as public void hold on play movie. Right. So these are two generic functions of an interface. Right. That is play movie, and the second one is start. Okay. As I suggested, the interface will never ever have the method declaration body. It will just have the declaration that these all functions are present inside the interface. Okay, right. So what is the use of the interface? Just looking at the interface, you will come to know that what computer is supposed to do. Right. Now suppose if I make a new class, say Mac Airbook. Now Mac Airbook is a computer. Basically Mac Airbook is a computer. So you will write over here that Mac Airbook. In Java we write implements computer. That means if I write implements computer, then it becomes mandatory for this class to implement all the functions which are there inside the computer interface. Okay, you move your mouse over this error and just select add unimplemented methods, and you will have two unimplemented methods over here, start and play movie. It is mandatory for a class which is implementing an interface to implement the functions present in the interface. Please note, it is mandatory for the class to implement the functions present inside the interface. Right. For example, hold on. If I make another class, new class, say IBM Lenovo. This is again a computer. So I write over here IBM Lenovo implements computer interface. So what happens is that it becomes mandatory for IBM Lenovo to implement both the functions which are present inside the computer interface. If you eliminate any one of the functions, you will get an error immediately. You just cannot partially implement it, you will have to implement it fully. Okay, this override sign means that this is a function which is coming up from the computer interface. Okay, Asim is asking a question: can IBM Lenovo implement Mac Airbook? You implement only interfaces, not classes. Mac Airbook is a class. You always implement interfaces, you don't implement classes. Okay, right. Now IBM Lenovo can print this function system.out.println Lenovo starting. Then Lenovo playing movie. Okay, this override sign over here. Okay, this override sign basically means that this function is coming from the interface. If a layman is looking at this function, if he looks at this sign at the rate override, this is technically known as an annotation. Technically, this is known as annotation, right? So this annotation means that this function is coming from the interface computer. Even if you remove it, nothing will happen, right? But we generally keep it. It denotes that the function is coming up from the computer interface. Similarly, in MacBook Air class as well, we can write over here MacBook starting, right, and then MacBook playing movie. Fine. So both these classes, IBM, Lenovo, and MacBook, they both implement the same interface computer. Okay. I hope you are understanding my point. Fine. Now, what is the use of this structure? I could have never created the interface. I could have never created the interface. I could have only created these two classes. That's it. Well, interface gives a structure to your application. You know that computer is an interface which has these two functions. So you will automatically know that IBM and Mac Airbook, both the classes will have both the functions. Tomorrow, if a new class is formed, for example, a class like Sony laptop, right? Then you will come to know that both these functions will be present in that class as well. That class will have to implement the computer interface. So it gives a structure to your application. If you're not understanding my point, please let me know. Fine. If you look at Selenium, if you look at the official website of Selenium, right, this is the official website of Selenium, right. Over here, if you go to the download link and then you go to the Java docs, this is the Java doc I told you yesterday, right? It is documentation. Fine. And in this documentation, whatever on the left side, the classes are present over here. Whatever is present in italics is an interface. Okay. Whatever is there in italics is an interface. For example, over here, killable is an interface, or over here you will see that mouse. Mouse is an interface, right? It represents the basic mouse operations, right? Inside this mouse interface, you have got basic functions like click, context click, double click, mouse move, mouse up. So these are the generic mouse class functions, and these are the two classes which implement the mouse interface. event firing mouse and HTML unit mouse. Right, so I'm just giving you a generic idea how to read this documentation. Now, if you have ever heard about the word WebDriver, Selenium WebDriver, then what is WebDriver? Technically, WebDriver is written over here. Technically, WebDriver is an interface, right? Technically, WebDriver is an interface, and this interface has got various functions like close, find element. So these are the various functions inside it, method summary. And if you look at it carefully, then these are the classes implementing this interface. For example, Chrome driver, event firing driver, Firefox driver, HTML unit, I driver, remote web driver, Safari driver. So these are the various. Some of them I have talked about, some of them I have not talked about. Right. For example, over here I did not talk about HTML unit driver. This driver is used. It can actually test applications without opening the browser. I'm just giving you a brief summary. Okay, remote WebDriver is used with Selenium GRID. Okay, when you work with Selenium GRID, you use remote WebDriver to make your test cases run in parallel. Fine, but the crux is that all the driver classes, they implement the same interface WebDriver, and all the driver classes will have the same functions, although the implementations they will vary depending on driver to driver. For example, IBM and Mac over here both had start function, but inside IBM class I had written that Lenovo starting, and inside Mac 8-book class I had written Mac book starting. Right. So basically I can implement as per my own needs, but the function names will remain same. So that means that, hold on, let me first include the Selenium jar files in the project. Okay, these are the Selenium jar files, right? And these jar files, they are in the reference libraries right now. Okay, now in this project I'll copy the file which I had made yesterday, that is driver selenium.java. Right, now if you open this file, I talked about 3 drivers: Firefox, Chrome and I. Okay, now all these driver classes will have the same function. If I write over here Firefox dot, we will get some functions like close and all that stuff. So all these driver functions, driver classes will have the same functions, because all these driver classes are implementing the same interface, that is the WebDriver. Are you able to understand my point? Is there anyone who is not able to understand my point? I hope I am keeping myself very clear. Right. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask questions. Okay. Now, moving further. Okay. So if I am writing f dot, you get a lot of functions from Firefox. Lot of the same functions you get in Chrome driver and same functions you get in I driver as well. Every time when I have to see these functions, you can go to the documentation of Selenium and you can check out what the function does. For example, close function will close the current window. Find element function will find the first web element using the method. Web element means any component on the page. For example, a link is a web element or a button is a web element. So if you want to find a link or a button on the page, we will use this function. Right. Get title function, as the name suggests, it will get the title of the current page. Okay. Right. Now you can also You can also just 1 minute, guys. Right. Okay. You can also import the documentation. Okay, the documentation of Selenium inside Eclipse. You don't have to go to this Java doc again and again. Right. All you need to do is that you need to go to the download link of Selenium over here. Right, and over here you will have the Java doc link. Fine, and right click on Java doc and select the option copy link location. Okay, you select the link option copy link location and go to day 2. Fine, go to the properties of this project and go to the Java build path libraries tab where you have copied all the jar files. Okay, right, inside these jar files you will see the Selenium Java 2.x.jar. Inside it you will have the Java doc location, right, and you select that and paste the URL. And after pasting the URL, please make sure, I am again repeating, please make sure, right, just 1 minute, guys. Right, please make sure that you remove index.html from the end. Right, you remove this because this is the mistake which most of the people do. They don't remove index.html from the end, right, and then you click on OK. Right, now when you move your mouse over anything, for example I move my mouse over Firefox driver, you will see that this is the stuff. Okay, if I move my mouse over Chrome driver, you will see that the definition of Chrome driver will come up. Right, okay, I'll show that again, Nitya. You have to go to the properties, go to the Java's main Selenium jar file, which is Selenium Java 2.x.jar, expand it, go to the Java doc location, edit it, and paste this URL. I'll ping you the URL now, chat. Fine, and click on OK. I'm recording the session. You can also refer the recorded session. Now, if you write anything like for Firefox driver dot, you will get the function. If you click on the function, you will get the description what the function does. So this is a very handful stuff, especially when you are learning. In the initial learning phase, this helps a lot. Okay, so I've imported the Java doc for Selenium over here. Okay, right, for example I move my mouse over Internet Explorer driver, you will get this, and if you click on anything, then the Java doc will open inside Eclipse itself. You can select the frame view. On the top there is a frame view. When you select it, it comes as a frame. Fine, so this is the advantage. Okay, now another advantage of using interfaces. Okay, now suppose there is a requirement that you have to selectively open a browser. You have to either open a Firefox or open a Chrome, or you have to open IE. Got my point? You have to work on any one of them, right? And how will you work with this? For example, there is a variable over here, string browser, equals to Mozilla. Then if this browser is equated to Mozilla, then you only need to open Mozilla. You don't need to open other browsers. You want only to test. You only want to test it on Mozilla, or you want to open Chrome. Then only Chrome should open up. Generally, this kind of variable we will read from some external files such as an XML file or a properties file, right, or a text file. I hope you are understanding my point, right? I hope you are understanding my point. Fine. So how will you work with this? Anybody? I'm just checking if you have seen the recorded sessions.
Do we need to declare?
Please keep yourself on mute because a lot of disturbance coming. You can use if else. Fine. One of the students is suggesting that you can use if else. Fine, I can use if else, but how will I?
We can
I can use
the
if statement over here. I can use an else statement over here. Right. Okay, then I can use another else over here and put it over here like this. But after that, how will I come to know whether I have to fire f dot close, c dot close, or I dot close? I just cannot repeat these lines under each if else statement. Are you getting my point?
Yeah. We can declare that browser in any of the.
Pardon?
We can declare the browser, the string browser. We are declared in the insert class in another interface. Then we can call it from there.
You can, but the problem will remain there. The problem will not be solved. Look, I'll tell you how to do. Again, you need to use a concept and interfaces over here. That's what I'm doing, Chetan. I've taken the browser name in the variable. This will not solve it. To solve it, you actually need to understand. Yes, you'll have to use WebDriver and object. Hold on, I'll tell you. Now in interface, I'll just create a new class, right? And I just keep it as the name as test. Okay. Now I can create the object in interface like this. I can write. First of all, computer was my basic interface. Okay. You cannot create objects of interfaces. I cannot write new computer. This is not done. You cannot create an object of an interface. This is illegal, first of all. Secondly, I can create the object of classes implementing the interfaces. For example, IBM Lenovo I equals to new IBM Lenovo. Then Mac Airbook M equals to new Mac Airbook. Fine. I can call the functions IBM.start, IBM.playMovie, MacBook.start, MacBook.playMovie. Right. When you run this, it prints Lenovo starting, Lenovo playing movie, MacBook starting, MacBook playing movie. That is fine. Okay. Now the another thing comes into the picture that suppose MacBook has a special feature which is only in MacBook. Right. For example, public void say a unique feature of MacBook, which I really don't know right now because I'm not a MacBook user, so I'll just name it XYZ. So this XYZ function is something which is only there in MacBook. It's not there in some other class. You can also have it over here. Okay. So in the test class, I can call this function from here MacBook.xyz. XYZ function is only available with MacBook. It's not available with any other PC. Right. So apart from implementing the function from the interface computer, these classes can also implement their own functions. But such functions, the usage of some such functions, it is discouraged. In Selenium also, such functions are not there. Okay. All right. Are you getting my point? I hope you understood my point. Right. Now the next thing which comes up. Yes, a class can implement more than one function interfaces, Nishna. Yes, a class can implement more than one function. I hope you are not getting any disturbances from my end because some of children are playing here near my PC. So I hope you are not hearing some background noises. If you are hearing, then let me know. Okay. Now moving one step ahead. This will be a little confusing for you. If I write over here computer C equals to new Mac Airbook. Now this is a little different. What I have written over here is basically interface reference C equals to new class which is implementing the interface. Okay, interface reference C equals to new class which is implementing the interface. Okay, so how is this different from this line? Over here I had written MacBook M equals to new MacBook and computer C equals to new MacBook. With this C, you can only access the functions in MacBook Air which are coming from the computer interface. Okay, so you can write over here C dot start, you can write C dot play movie, but you cannot write C dot XYZ. This is not permitted. When you write like this, you can only call the functions which are coming from the MacBook interface, sorry, which are coming from the computer interface to the MacBook class. You cannot call the functions which are owned by MacBook class, special to MacBook class. You got my point? Right, but why is this useful then? What is the usage? The usage is there. It's got a very good usage. You can write over here computer C equals to null. C1 equals, that means it is not pointing towards any object right now. Null means nothing. Depending on your choice, you can write C1 equals to new MacBook Air, or you can write C1 equals to new IBM Lenovo. It's completely your choice. You initialize it to this one or this one. If you call C1 dot start over here, this will call the start of Mac. And if you write C1 dot start, it will call the start for IBM. Because after this line, C1 is pointing towards IBM. Are you able to understand this? This is very important. How is this helpful in Selenium? Okay, I'll repeat. When you write this line, you are writing that computer C equals to new MacBook. So with C you can access the functions which are there in computer interface and which get implemented inside the MacBook class. For example, start and play. So this helps you a lot because you can initialize your object reference to null in the beginning, and then you can point it to either MacBook or Lenovo. You have to have the computer interface reference pointing towards the class implementing it. Right, so you can write C1 equals to new Mac Airbook or C1 equals to new IBM Lenovo. It is completely upon your requirement. Are you getting my point? Yes. Now the question arises: how will this be helpful in Selenium? Now in Selenium we know that WebDriver is an interface. Yes, Asif, it is necessary, and you will come to know why it is necessary in some time. We know that WebDriver is an interface. Now if I write WebDriver D1 equals to new Firefox driver, I can write this, right? Because Firefox driver implements the WebDriver interface. I told you in the documentation that WebDriver is an interface, right? And all the other driver classes, they are implementing this interface. So you can write over here WebDriver D1 equals to new Firefox driver. Okay. The interface reference equals to new class which is implementing the interface, right? Or you can also write WebDriver D2 equals to new Chrome driver. Fine. Now if I write over here WebDriver, say driver equals to null, that means driver is not pointing towards either Firefox driver or Chrome driver or Safari driver or iDriver. Driver is not pointing is never pointing anywhere. This line means that driver is never pointing anywhere. Depending on your requirement, you can make driver point to new Firefox driver, or your requirement says that fine, you have to make do the testing on Chrome, you make the driver point to Chrome driver. Driver will be the same. Hold on, I'll tell you, just 1 minute. I'll go back, I'll make a new class called as browser open. Fine. Suppose you have a requirement, you have a variable over here which is known as browser type, and suppose this points to Mozilla. That means you have to do the testing on Mozilla. Tomorrow if this browser type changes to Chrome, you need to do the testing on Chrome, or it changes to I, then I. So to implement this, we write something like this, that is we point WebDriver driver to null in the beginning, that is interface reference driver is not pointing anywhere. Okay, now you can write an if else condition, that if the browser type is equal to, this will not be clear in one go, you will have to watch the video, write it on your own, and then only it will be clear. Else if browser type is Chrome, then do something, and else if the browser type is I, then do something. So if the browser type is Mozilla, I'll make the driver point towards new Firefox driver. If the driver type is Chrome, then I will make the driver point towards new Chrome driver. If it is I, then I'll make the driver point towards new Internet Explorer driver, and I'll have to set the exe files and all everything like I did earlier. Just 1 minute. I'll set them in the beginning only. I'll set the exe for both Chrome and I in system bar. Then depending on my browser type, I'll open. Now if you run this code, this will open Chrome. Hold on. Right. And after this, hold on, you can fire the commands. The commands will be same because all the browser drivers they implement the same interface. That's a driver.get http yahoo.com. So whichever browser opens, it will navigate to that particular website. If you run this code, Chrome will open and it will go to Yahoo. Right. And if you tomorrow if you change it to Mozilla, this will open Firefox and it will take you to Yahoo. I hope you are understanding my point. Watch the recorded video, you will understand. Right. So depending on my requirement, I made the driver point towards a particular driver, that is Firefox driver or Chrome driver or Internet Explorer driver, and then I took it to the website, and after that you can fire commands and all. We'll study those commands. Are you guys able to understand? Anybody with any questions? Any questions regarding this, regarding Selenium, anything? Because this is confusing. Hello, is somebody talking?
Hey Ashish, this is Srinivas. I have a question here.
Yeah, yes, Srinivas.
Hey, like if I want to run the same test cases on different browsers, same set of test cases, like
yeah. So for that, that's why I told you that this thing I will read it from an external file. Okay. Practically, you don't hard code it. You read it from the external file and you parameterize it, such that the test case is executed multiple times, and each time it is executed, different browser type is passed over. Okay, that I will come to. You will be a little confused if I talk about it right now, but we generally keep this information externally and we read it from there. Okay. Well, Maruti, in Java you use dot equals. This is value comparison in Java for strings. Okay. If you have to compare numbers in Java, if you have say int I equals to 8, sorry, and then you have int h equals to 7. If you have to compare I and h, then you use I equal to h. But if you have to compare strings, you use dot equals. There is a fundamental reason behind this. I don't want to put myself into that because that's a world in itself, right? But you really don't want to go into that area. Sorry, right? And fine. Anybody with any questions? Anything? Look, I'm really sorry. I have to take a shorter class today because I have some function to attend today, and I really never wanted to start it this weekend as well, but there was a lot of pressure from a lot of people to start the training this weekend, so I started it, and I really never wanted to lose on the commitment of taking the class today. So I will be posting the recorded sessions, fine, and 15 to 16 people registered for the class. Hope everybody got the username and password for the videos. Okay, if you want to join Hold on, there's a question being asked. Yes, Sunanya, you will come to know about everything. Okay. Obviously, I will not be talking about everything over here, all the classes. Nobody can talk about that. It's huge, it's very vast. Even I also don't know about all the things over here. But yes, I will tell you how to read this documentation. Reading this documentation is more important. Reading this documentation is more important rather than understanding what each and every class does. Right, I'm going to give you a very good launch pad through which you can actually learn Selenium on your own.